Okay. And we are live. JT here. Welcome to The Huddle. The Huddle is where I sit down with successful people from the world of sport and coaching. It's to learn more about their journey to greatness. Why do I have these conversations? Because success always leaves clues. I want to take a moment to thank you. I want to thank you whether you are tuning in live as we stream into our Facebook community, whether you are watching the replay on YouTube or on Facebook, or whether you're simply listening to the audio on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me and my special guest today. And here's my friendly reminder to you. The mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's wide open. So my challenge to you is to go all in on this conversation, to put away any potential distractions. Just open your mind to this conversation. And I guarantee you, you will gain a valuable nugget that will not only help you in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. Been looking forward to my conversation with my guest. We connected a little while ago on social media, on LinkedIn. And then he called me one day. And again, it's one of those reminders that, how often just a simple thing like pick up the phone call. And here we are like 35 minutes later. I'm like, you have to come on into the huddle with me. And we got to chat, brother. Like, you have a powerful story I wanted to share. My guest in the huddle today is currently serving as a linebacker coach and a regional scout with the University of Ottawa GGs. And he's just an all-around great energy, great enthusiasm, great passion for life. My guest in the huddle today is Coach Jean Guillaume. How are you today, brother?
I'm good today, brother. Thank you for asking.
Hey, no worries. So first and foremost, I know we were chatting before we hopped on here. I'm a firm believer that we need to count our blessings. And as we were talking before we come on here, it's a daily practice, right? It's one that requires discipline of mind. So one of the greatest blessings that we can share with anyone is our time and our energy. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing some of your time and energy into being here with me and our community today. And just feel very blessed, brother. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Okay. So one of the first things I like to do in the huddle, coach, is I'd like to remind people that life is a game and games are supposed to be fun. So I'm curious, what is an interesting fact? I had a coaching colleague that once said, we all have our quirks. We all have these things that make us unique and different. What is an interesting fact about you that maybe a lot of people don't know that you would be open to sharing with our community?
Wow. That's a good one. I wasn't ready for this one. I mean, my first sport, my first love was not football. So my first love was hockey. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, my first sport was hockey. I mean, young Haitian immigrant. I came here at 4 years old. Yeah. I was a diehard Nordiques fan, which means I used to cry a lot because they were losing all the time. Yeah. But there were some good games though. When they were playing against the Habs, it was a good show. Yeah. So forever, Michel Goulet, all the Peter Stastny, Anton Stastny, the goalies, Colin Mullenchart, and all these guys, Del Hunter.
Yeah,
those were my guys. So hockey was my first sport. I used to collect the cards just like everybody, the stickers. You would buy the book, buy the the pack of gum, and I loved hockey, especially in Montreal. I mean, hey, everybody played hockey.
Yeah,
if it's not on ice, in the back road on the street, everybody was playing hockey. So that was my first. A lot of people are always shocked about that. That was my first love, and I still love this game as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that, brother. And again, it just shows, and what it reminds me is the power of sport, right? Like how sport is a common connector for many people.
It is.
Especially, people like yourself and me that have immigrant parents, right? That come sort of it becomes that connector.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, obviously sport has played an important role for you in your life. It still does today, right? You're still in the coaching world. I'm curious, has there been one life lesson that you've gotten from sport that you still find yourself applying to your life today?
One life lesson, I've learned it throughout my journey, and I still apply it. It's a child is a miracle. Each child, anyone who played the game when you were young, you have a team, you look at around, but then 20 years later, it's amazing how the guys you used to play with, they become so and so. So every kid that you coach, basically, it sounds cheesy all the time, but they're future citizens. They are the future. And people always kind of forget about that. And I've learned that also kids, thank God to my dad. I mean, he passed. He instilled that in me. I never talk to kids like kids. I learned that. You talk to them like they're adults. You treat them like adults. And it makes them grow. The reason why to me it's very important is because I just said my journey was, I still remember those coaches that coached me when I was playing badminton. I still remember everything. And I'm kind of reevaluate some of them. So I'm in the education field is the same thing. As a teacher, look at the kid as a future success. As you know, the Pygmalion effect is very strong. And that's the thing I really stay away from. Every kid I tell them that they're all a miracle. First of all, we were talking about celebrating life. Not everybody's lucky to be here and being able to see, to talk, to walk, to be healthy. It's a blessing. We need to, so every kid that can come and be active and be sitting in the classroom and be fully functional, they're a miracle. So I see in a lot of them, it's their future success. So that's my approach. And that's what I learned from the game, because it's not the game. And it helped me to see the game not as, we play to go to the league to become pro. I don't look at it like that. My journey helped me to see and to look at football as a way to educate. And that's why when I wrote my thesis for my master's degree in social work, I used that title as how can a high school coach can be a first line responder for at-risk youth. So, that really kind of, it teach me that. The game really teach me that. And there's nothing beautiful when you see 30, 40, 50 kids all focused and all together and hugging each other and going through, the hardcore training. And at the end, all together. That's beautiful. As the same way we can say it's ugly when we see a bunch of kids in the street doing bad things, we got to look at the good side of the sport and where we see that, they could be anywhere else doing irrelevant stuff, but they decide to show up. And that's what I appreciated from the game, the brotherhood, people you meet. It's funny. When I was young, look now, Danny Machocho is the GM for the Alouettes. He coached me when I was young. Marco Yadaluca, who's the head coach for University of Montreal, was my running back coach. People that it's amazing how you can connect people from different walk of life. And if I can talk to you in English right now and express myself, because of the late great Earl de la Parole, who forced me, said, "Hey, you're going to Vanier. You're not going to Vieux-Morel, you're going to Vanier." I was shocked, but that was the best decision of my life. So a lot of these great coaches that came and shaped who I am right now today. And again, you asked the question. That's what I learned from the game. To me, I never, until now, I don't look at going to the league and making it. No, when it happens, we celebrate it, because you know what? Behind that success, there's a great story.
I love everything you're sharing. And I think what really touches my heart is that like simplicity. And what I really heard from you again was the power of surrounding yourself with great coaches and mentors. Right. And I really like peel that back. I think everyone consciously understands that, but it's really a great coach or mentor, educator, teacher, a great leader sees a brighter tomorrow, right? Sees a compelling future, right? It gives us hope. And I just think from an athletic perspective, right? Because that may seem there, it's when you start at the beginning of the season, let's say from a football standpoint,
Mhm.
everyone has that vision of winning the last game of the season, right? Of
Yes.
hosting that trophy. So all the reps and sets in the offseason in practice are building towards that compelling future. So it's funny that there are times where you're not going to feel like it. You're going to doubt, you're going to worry, but great coaches or mentors continue to see the vision for you, to pour their belief into you. And that's what carries you during those times that aren't easy. So I love everything you're saying. And it reminds me, again, the importance of being open to surrounding ourselves with great coaches and mentors.
Oh yeah, because that's what breeds success. I mean, all the success that I had, it was not because of the X and O's. It was never because of the X and O's. It was the kids that was around me. All those kids, I remember when we won the championship, when I started the team, yes, every coach will talk about a championship because that's the goal, right? It's like you write an exam, you want to score big. But at the end of the day, I've never focused on a championship. I've always enjoyed this little moment. I remember when I was at St. Matt's, the kids that we had around, they were not the kids that people like had the high expectations from. But I love those kids. We loved each other. Until now, we talk about it for hours when we meet. We had that special bond. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I've also discovered the spiritual side of the game. Because that championship game that we won, I could tell you, spiritually, we were like so not, it was even the players that we talk about, we were at a different level. We were so focused. So it's when you get there, and I've never won a Super Bowl or college football, but I can see what it takes to win. Everybody should be in sync and focused and spiritually sound. And let me tell you, I've lived that. And why I was able to reach that is because we loved each other. I was at a school where it was the laughing stock of town. Everyone, the teachers, I would tell, hey, this is what we're going to do. Everybody would laugh. Oh, but good luck, buddy. It's not going to happen. But one thing I've never lost, and because, again, I told you that what I've learned, kids are powerful. Because you know what I love with kids? If you dream it, they can jump in a dream with you. Sometimes I'd also, kids, they jump in. I remember when we created the whole thing, the vision, and we were talking about a head coach. I strongly believe it's like, a president. You got to look at the big picture. And that was my goal. And I've always wanted them to be close, to be like a brotherhood. And we created that. It became really contagious. And the boys still now, we talk about the 2016 team. And it's one of the best group I've ever coached. Now I'm trying to recreate that because now I'm at Immaculata High School. And we got the same kind of kids, great kids, and they all bought in. And as a coach, that's what you love. It's those journey, It always breaks your heart when it's ending somewhere, but then when you restart somewhere, it's amazing. I was not going to go back to high school, but after, a lot of teachers, principals, everybody, coach, we think you should. And, because again, I close a chapter. But then restarting another chapter, it's so amazing. So it goes back to what we were talking. If you care, if you really love your players, you're going to go far. That's why one of my favorite coaches, Jimmy Johnson, Bobby Bowden. I mean, these are coaches that love their players. And when you create that brotherhood and you guys love each other, we can go far.
I love that, because what I heard from you there is that's unconditional love, right? Like,
yes.
I think what people, and again, you've studied the mind, right? You have a deep understanding. I think what some people fail to recognize sometimes is you're always making people feel something. It could be they could be feeling a little bit of, ooh, I don't know. This kind of feels like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Or they can feel like, no, this person has my general best interest at heart. They want to help me get to where I want to go. And so it's important, like you said, that people always feel the love.
Oh yeah.
And when you do that, it's amazing what can happen.
Oh, it's amazing. It's the vehicle. I mean, when you look at the essence of a coach is, it's made to transport you, to take you from point A to point B. And one thing I've learned, and I must add to that, you can't fake it as a coach.
No.
You can't fake that love. When I was young, I saw those coaches who were fake. I saw those who gave the fake speech. You know, I saw those that were not here really because they believed in it. They believed in it. And one thing I've learned in one of my research was the kids will develop a love for you. They will follow you according to how much you put in. If you take your stuff seriously, they will. If you just, oh, gotta go, whatever happened, I'm out. Oh, I need to out. They won't. They won't. And then, and yes, it takes a lot of time. You have to be real. And as a person as well, you must, you know, I compare it to social work and even the teaching, you know, vocation is your personality is your tool. Who you are is your tool. You can't preach left and then you do right. You can't preach right and then you do left. So the same coach you see on Monday, that's the same coach you should see on Saturday. So to work, it's essential. It's crucial. That's what needs to happen. And yeah, and I could say so many stories, and that's the beauty of it, because I could sit here and talk about so many players that, you know, I went through a lot with them. And then and I'm looking also, you know, with all my friends, my US coaches, friends in the States, we talk about all the time. You need a coaching tree. And one thing I've been really proud of is, you know, I started when I was alone, all the kids helped me. I had an equipment manager. His name was Mitch. He was one of my students. He took his job seriously. Yeah. You know, we created an office. He said, Coach, I got a freezer. I needed ice still, you know. All the kids bought in. The girls, you know, cheerleaders. I didn't have to teach nothing. I said, you guys gonna run it. They did. It was beautiful. You know, people look at the football field in Success. Yeah. I look at all these kids. It was my birthday the other day, and I get the birthday wish. I'm like, oh my God, this kid, oh, they still remembered. And, you know, it's all those things. To me, those are the major blessings. And I look at now, I'm coaching, wherever I coach, I will say, Willie, show up. He shows up. JP Simakinda, show up. Shows up. Callie Joseph, show up. Shows up. I mean, look at now, Jesse Luqueta is going in the draft. That's a kid who would come back, get in the classroom, come at the same mats and work with the kids. You know, we had a training session 2 years ago at Hillcrest High School. Malik Mega was at Penn State, was there. A bunch of D1 guys were there. Jesse was there. Jesse, you know, high profile player. He was doing the drills with everybody. And those kids that were there that were 14, 15, they still remember that. So you see how magical it is. And again, I thank those guys because they listened, they followed to my vision. Yeah. And now, look, now, I mean, Jesse's going to the draft. I mean, every kid, I was at the Senior Bowl with him, gave me cards to give to the kids. You know, all the boys are proud of him. The whole Ottawa scene is proud of him, you know. And we look at another one, Sherrod Baltimore. Sherrod Baltimore is a red-black player. I've never seen, I mean, people used to joke, Coach, you're a professional volunteer. Sherrod's a professional volunteer. He's a professional football player, but he's a professional volunteer. I mean, he would come to every training session. And like he said, he's not Hollywood. He would talk to those young men. And I so love that. It's all those things when you take a step back, you observe. That's life. We're talking about celebrating life. That's life. It's each one, teach one. And I can go on. And let's not forget the academic side of things. I use football to make sure, I don't lie. I don't coach football to make sure the guys go pros. I coach to make sure that, you know what, the project house where they live, if I can get them out, go to a prep school, the mom takes a break, less to buy for grocery. Education-wise, he's going to a school where he doesn't even need an IEP because there's like 8 students in the classroom. And you know what? He's going to a school where, you know what, that's like a dream for him. It sparkles the taste, the thirst for success in the classroom and on the field. At the end of the day, like I always say, when they get their high school diploma, to me, that's my championship. Yeah. And I tell everyone, everybody thinks everybody has a high school diploma. A lot of people don't have it. And I told the guys, all I'm asking, and I wish, it's just give me one post-secondary degree. One. That's all I ask. You know? And I don't say that to brag or anything. I always use that example. I said, hey guys, I have 4. And if I count my CJEP ones, I got 6. I'm only asking you one.
Yeah.
And I've done it and I was broke. I've done it, you know, you were a student too. You know? The nights where, you know, peanut butter sandwich, you grab whatever you got to grab to fill up the stomach and go back in the library and study. You got to get it done. Mm-hmm. But it's the best reward. I mean, look at now, Matthew Michael at Severo was, this kid's a special kid. I mean, that's the youngest captain I ever had. Grade 9 was a captain. Even seniors coach. This kid is special. The kid, 98% average, a 4.2 or 4.18 GPA at Wyoming Seminary. You know, that's a kid too that didn't think he was going to go that far. Now he's doing very well. Shakespeare Lewis texted me the other day, coach, I made Dean's List. Catley Joseph, many times Dean's List, honor roll Dean's List. Edwin, we all knew Edwin was a great student, but hey, he's still doing it. Right now he's at Boston College, texted me last night. He's doing very well. You know, there's so on. JP Simakinda, who's taking care of schools about to graduate soon, who's going to the draft too for the CFL. You know, Willie the other day, coach, I got an A+ in class. Wow. Those guys are my students. And I demand nothing but excellence. And you see, and again, I'm going far with all of that, JT. But when you look at that, and it goes back to the question, what did you learn from the game? And that's what I learned. You could take a kid, and if you genuinely put your heart to it, you can make him become anything.
I love just everything you're sharing, right? Like, I love how what I really feel I love about your journey here is that you have this specialized knowledge, right? Like you talked about, hey, I have 6 degrees, right? Post-secondary degrees. And that I want to celebrate you because that's what a great leader does. A great leader only preaches what they are willing to consistently practice. So you've shown through your track record, hey, post-secondary education gives you options. But what I really love about your story is you have this background in social work. And as we talked about, you've seen what could happen if a student has a brighter future, if they are just getting caught in past circumstances and conditions. So I love the fact that you've made it sounds like a driver for you to empower the next generation of how to celebrate their past, create their future. So here's a question I have for you. Empowerment is a word that, you know, it gets used a lot, right? And I think in today's climate where we're talking about, you know, what can we do to make this world more diverse, inclusive, equitable for everyone? What does it truly mean from your experience to truly empower someone to create a brighter future? Like, what does that entail?
Okay, it's interesting that you brought that term. Yes, a lot of people use it, but you know, I was teaching La Cité Collégiale in French, and at once one student said, "But it's an English term." I said, "Yes. Even in French, we use it because you can't translate that word. It's so strong. In French, we use it. So empowerment is so strong. And yes, another word I usually kind of think about is resiliency. We use it in psychology a lot. But in the 80s, well, that was the word. But again, when you ask me about empowerment, how do I do it? I mean, empowerment for me, it's, you know, we're running a relay race, right? I make sure I hold on to that stick to make sure I pass it on to you. And I make sure I run fast enough to give you a good time so you can come in fast. Because if I slow down and take my time, I'm not helping you. So empowerment is really, I love the humanist approach because it says the solution is in the human. The solution is within the person. So I can take music and teach a kid. It's funny, I was watching a documentary on Lil Wayne, and I didn't know that. When he was 10 years old, he used to go in the studio. The guys, his managers, the guys that were, you know, with him, made him do homework. You got to do your homework. Sit down and do your homework. Well, you know what? He was doing it because he was doing music, something he loved. So the humanist approach is you use something that the person is passionate about, and you use that to teach him other things. And when that person learns And we all know that knowledge is power. Once you know better, you do better. So if I can fill you with knowledge, I empower you. Because if I walk away, you can function now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give you all the tools now to decide what's best for you. And empowerment, yes, you're absolutely right. That's something that's what I do. Because again, when I look back my journey, you ask me, how did I learn that? Look, I look at myself. From Haiti, we came in, we used to live in Little Italy, 1-bedroom apartment, struggling as hell. And when you're young black men in Quebec and Montreal, French, I mean, you're usually the only one. It's not fun. You don't like to be black. You know what I mean? You suffer. Like the lunch, I joke with the guys. I used to get those lunch, dude, and you know, those butter containers. It was not in a nice like lunch box. It was in a butter container. Stuff that when you bring it to the cafeteria, people laugh at you. You got to go hide to eat your lunch. You know, all those things you go through, it makes you strong. And also to fit in. Some kids some of my friends, I used to play hockey. They would say, hey, the black guy stays outside. He's not coming in my house. That happened to me. I went outside in the cold and I was waiting for the guys after supper. When you live all those things, you really want to empower, and you don't want anyone to suffer all those things. And you know, I'm doing it not for any, you know, it's not for me. It's because the more that I could change, then I could say I did my share. That's what I know. That's what I've studied. That's what I've been blessed to be able to do. I'll do it to the fullest, because then I'm doing my share. Because it does impact society. If I'm here, I'm here talking to you in English. You know, I went to school, I'm educated. It's because someone gave me an opportunity. Someone helped my parents to immigrate to Canada. There was great Canadians, French Canadians, that used to help us. A lot of them, maybe they're not alive to see it, but it was their work. So that's why it cannot be anything else than empowerment. That's why, you know, I was watching The Pivot, Michael Beasley. I mean, it was sad. A young man, great basketball player, keep on saying, all I want to do is play basketball, no one's listening. There's no help. This is horrible. That's why a lot of people thinking about the pros. You can go to the pros and you're miserable. You can go to your pros and you lose all your money. And then what? You still have to face life. So why not doing it as young as possible? While we're coaching, we're teaching them something they love. Use that humanist approach to empower them.
I love everything that you're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few things, like as you were sharing, brother, that really drew out to me. Was one, it was that ability to connect human to human, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I often tell people, whenever I say like serve their heart, right? That's one thing I remind myself, serve their heart.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, and again, it's not this physical heart. It's that deep in that subconscious, as you know, right? Like touch on what is that? And if football's the connector, great. If music's the connector, great. If science is the connector, great. But connect it to something that is meaningful to them, that's relevant, and use that simply as an opportunity, a platform to teach them skills that can allow them to succeed at the game of life.
Yes.
So it really is simple. Now, again, common practice isn't always like common sense isn't always common practice, right?
Yes,
so it's just interesting how it's pretty simple. But
simple.
Just, like, practice it every day.
It is very simple.
Yeah.
That's what shocks me all the time. Sometimes people don't understand. You know, sometimes I talk and I could tell they're like, this guy's a trainer. When I started, I remember I first got the job at St. Matt's and I went on the field and I prayed. And again, I'm saying that not because I want everybody to be Christian or whatever. I see it just as a spiritual ritual that can guide your soul to better, to enlighten your practice. And I prayed because I knew that was not a journey that was going to be just about, hey, go there, run a post, and that's it. No, is you're going to transform lives. And if you believe in it, it will happen. We made miracles with that. You know, until now, a lot of these boys, they come and I love it because now sometimes they teach me stuff. You know, I was at when I went to Penn State at the Senior Bowl, at the senior game with Jesse. Words could not explain what I felt. Walking around, hey, that's my high school coach. That's my coach. Say hi to my coach. That's Coach Jean. He could get everybody. Hey, that's my coach. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
And it was funny because it reminded me back in the days I used to do that with him. Oh, that's my guy. Hey, you know, hey, coach. Hey, coach, put that on. Oh, okay, thank you. Coach, you good? Okay, I'll be back, coach. I'm gonna go and I'll catch you later. We have dinner ready for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Words cannot buy this. And that's why I do it for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we should do it for. Because, you know, we take them, we lift them. Now, on our way down, you know, they're going to lift us and carry us and respect us and share it, you know. And we get together. They laugh about me sometimes. We have some stories, some anecdote. I remember Willie once he said, Coach, I was scared because, you know, we had the city championship. He didn't wear his knee pads. And the previous game, he didn't wear them. And I gave him that look. And at the city championship, the ref comes to me, sir. And then already the coach is like, Coach, yeah, he doesn't have his knee pads. I was. And then Willie said, Coach, I thought you were going to kill me. And he still talk about that. And I'm like, oh, they laugh about it. Yeah. It's all those things you go through. You live it with them. Again, JT, it's magical. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's magical. And word cannot express those things. That's why I was talking about the coaching tree. I'm really happy because, for instance, we got Coach Isaiah with Limitless. He coaches track. You know, you were a high school coach, you know. To be a high school coach, you have to be a Swiss Army knife. Yeah. You got to do everything. You got to do everything. So now I said, you know what? If I keep on doing everything, it's not fair. I want those guys to kind of take, right? And Coach Isaiah, now I used to coach him in high school. Then he was coaching track. And again, we learned because when he was young, I said, Isaiah, you run a 4.3. You can run a 4.3 easily. You can be a returner. Coach, they told me I'm too small. Like, who the hell keeps telling you that? Oh, no, well, my track coach, you know, I run track. You can do both. But then realizing later on, he should have played football. But he learned that. And he comes around, I said, okay, you're going to learn. I'm going to teach you. I teach them. He was a great defensive back. And I said, now you're going to be our speed coach. I'm going to stop doing it. So any kid, coach, I want to play football. Okay, you're going to call Coach Isaiah. Mm-hmm. Back then it was come to my training and I teach you. No, now Coach Isaiah is a speed guy. You know, and all the kids, they go to him, those who run track. So to me, I take pride in that. And I remember he came to me once and said, Coach, what should I do to get better? I said, I sat him down in this room. It was funny. I sat him down in this room. I said, you're coaching. It's cute and everything. You got to go back to school. You got to go get a degree. I said, really, Coach? I said, yes. Can you believe the kid went back, finished, got all the courses he needed in science, and went and graduated from Brock University on the dean's list in 3 years? In 3 years. I take pride in that because you know what? Then that's a next coach. If any kids come, oh, I can't. You can't. I went back to high school, fixed my science courses, and graduated not in 4 years, in 3 years. How about you do that? And I was all that while I was coaching. So it's all those things that I take pride in. And then there was another young man, Gino. He's in the community. I've seen him happy. He's always happy. He does clothing. I said, why not? Gino, where are you going to do the closing? Really, Coach? Yeah, that's your job. Now he's running his business doing that. Yeah. No, it's that's how I see it. I see it as an infinite opportunity to make kids better. I was with, it's funny, 2 days ago, I went to eat. I meet Kimali, one of my previous player. I mean, we went through a lot. The young man lost his mom. I remember I used to go practice, go to his house, sit down on the couch with mom because mom was terminal cancer. And you know what? The kid went through a lot. And I would go and help the family. We went all the way down to the funeral, the whole team. We went to the funeral. To look at this young man right now, he's working at BMW. BMW, He has a high position now. The other day, because I drive a Mini, I needed to change my oil. Coach, no. Did you know, by the way, Simon was one of your students too? Yeah, Simon, yeah, he's working. So these guys, they did everything for me. Coach, sit down. We're going to take care of you. You know, it's all those things, JT. That's the key.
Again, you know, brother, I just had this vision. If we were teaching and coaching together, like what would be possible? I'm like, it wouldn't even be fair to anyone, right? But here's what I love about what you talked about. It's understanding this fundamental truth. People often ask me, what's your truth? And this was prompted by a former coaching colleague who became a coaching client of me. He's like, what's your truth? And this was a great man. And I said, everyone has greatness inside of them, right? And once you start to, again, not just consciously understand that, but really understand it, every great leader then finds that greatness inside of other people, right? And then they find out, what is it that they want? Is it that position at BMW? Is it playing football at the next level? Is that 90% average? What is it that they truly want? What's on their heart? And then suggest ways like you did, where, okay, you want to be a speed coach? Okay, we got to go back to school. This is how you're going to do it. And it's simply that, to me, is empowerment, right? It's all great leaders, coaches, they're want creators. They find out what people want. They show them how to get there. That's empowerment.
And I love doing that. You probably seen a young reporter, Jordan Zlomsley.
Yeah.
Jay-Z Media.
Yeah.
Sherrod Baltimore introduced me to him.
Okay.
So I meet that kid and he's talking to me like, oh yeah, I do this, and all seriously. So he was so serious. I thought he was 20 or something. So then eventually I'm talking to him. I said, you're going to come down. We're going to do this. You want to be a reporter? You're going to be the best one. This is what you're going to do. He's like, Coach, I'm from Stittsville. I don't know much guys in the community. I said, don't worry. You're going to meet all of them. Really? Yeah. They're all going to sit down with you and they're going to, and he didn't understand how it was simple. Then he would come to the train and say, hey, this is Jordan. You're going to sit down and give him an interview. Okay. And it kept on going. And he was so happy. He eventually did a little documentary on what he'd seen. But one day I called him. I said, you're going to show up and it's going to happen. He's like, Coach, I got to wait for my dad. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm 15 years old. I said, whoa, it's true. Oh, I didn't know you were 15. He shocked me. And even after a while, we're working together, doing things. And I said, man, you got to work with everybody. Give an opportunity, give a shot. And then he wanted to meet Jesse. I said, sure. You want to come with Jesse? I'm going to the Senior Bowl. You got tickets for us? We're good. Really? I can come? I said, yeah, you can come. Let's go. And then I forgot again. He said, oh, I have to ask my parents. I said, yeah, it's true. You're minor, Jordan. So he came. Got to meet Jesse. Jesse, and again, it's a culture. Jesse took him open arms, sat down with him, and did the same thing. And look at Jordan now. He's going to be one of the best journalists. He's the best. I mean, his work ethic is bar none. The kid is the best. I mean, the kid is in high school still.
Yeah.
I mean, talking to Jim Nagy, like, because Coach Cottrell is a legend. He used to be assistant head coach at the Florida State with Bobby Bowden at Alabama. Coach Cottrell is a mentor to me. And I met him through Simon, a good friend of mine. And then I go see Coach Cottrell. This guy's a legend. And he treats Jordan like a pro reporter. And he said, you're going to go to that VIP dinner. You're going to ask for so-and-so. John, make sure you do. Yes, Coach. Ask for so-and-so. It was all the big shots. And the kid was there. He sat with Jim Nagy, all the people that were running the Senior Bowl. It was such a great event. And to me, again, what brought joy to me is to watch that young boy who one day said, I want to be that. Now he's at the Senior Bowl, not only doing an interview with Jesse, but meeting other guys that he met through the online. So it's those stories, again, that we need to celebrate. And as a coach, when you sit down, you think about those stories, you just shake your head and smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love everything you're sharing there, brother. That was exactly the same experience I had when I met Jordan, right? I was like, what's on your heart, brother? Tell me. And he was like, I'm in high school. I'm like, I thought I was talking to, again, just, but I love about, I really love about that story is you connected him with Jesse.
Mhm.
And because you poured into Jesse, you taught him how to have an open heart, to see the best in people and to want to just help them get to where they want to go.
Yes.
He did the same thing. So it's a great reminder that you can only give to others what you already have. When you choose, like you'd say, to celebrate the greatness in others,
yes,
the people around you will choose to celebrate the greatness in others.
You nailed it. I always say you cannot give what you haven't received. Everything I have, I received it from Earl. Everything. Earl sat me down. Earl, he used to take me to Michigan. Lloyd Carr, sitting down, go to his office, meeting all these guys. I went to Mark Duffner's camp, Maryland. I went to Coach Pasqualini in Syracuse. None of these things were new to me. I've seen Earl. Earl gave us a tough love. Earl grabbed me, and that's the same Earl who said, hey, you're going to Vanier. I don't care. You're going to Vanier to learn English. I thought I was going to die, JT. But you know what? Here I am, and I teach immersion, and I can't believe nowadays why and how come in Quebec, in Montreal, a kid cannot speak English. You're missing. But that man didn't ask me, do you want? Oh, you know what? I said, no, you're going to Vanier. And one thing I liked with Earl, tough love. When I was going to Vanier, he said, come here, Jean. You're not going to only hang with the black kids, eh? You're going to hang with the white kids too. And the other day I was talking to Teddy Stote. Ted Stote is the president of Lakeshore Cougars. And I had a Coach Rogers from Episcopal. He came to see me and he wanted to see some athletes. And I called Teddy. I said, hey, you have any players? Tell them to come. We'll do a little workout. Well, a player came, Raphael Dunn came. Now he received a scholarship to go play in a prep school. But Ted Stote and I, we go way back since Vanier. But why I can talk to Ted Stote now? Because Earl told me, when you go to Vanier, you don't only hang with the black kids. You hang with everyone. So it's those things like you said, you cannot give what you haven't received. So that's why I poured in those guys. And I love to see when they take another one and they nurture them and they put them under the wings. There's Bryce. Bryce, who's going now, he's going to Episcopal, actually. I tell them, if you don't find me, call Edwin, call Catley, call Willie, call Alain Simakinda, call JP, call Jesse, connect with them. Because even if I'm not there, the job is done. One of great friend of mine, Jean-Marc Edmé, used to be a director of place personnel with the Red Blacks. Now he's working with Danny Machocha with the Alouettes. Jean-Marc back then used to be with the Alouettes. He used to give me 2-3 bags of cleats back then. You know who benefited from that? Jesse. There was a pair of cleats back in the day, Jesse, I gave him a pair of cleats. And I told Jean-Marc, and that's why I love the full circle. I said, Jean-Marc, you see that kid who's the number one draft? And the number one in CFL draft? And projected in the top in the NFL? You remember those cleats he used to give me? He received one. He said, what? I said, yes. So it's all those things that very important. And the last full circle story I'm going to tell you, this is very touching, this one. I was with Curvins Bonham. Curvins, we go to camps. I tried to find schools for him. We couldn't. Thank God Clearwater showed up and gave him an opportunity. But he used to come at lunch in my classroom and calling all the coaches. We couldn't find a school for him. Thank God Clearwater came, boom. And then success showed up. But while he was doing that, I said also I have to start his recruiting process. And I'm wearing today the sweater. I'm going to tell you why I'm wearing this sweater. And I love the saying on it too. But so online, I find a girl. She's doing like high school. She just started. Her name was Ashton Washington. So I said, I have this kid. He's good. Can you help me with him? She said, sure, coach. I'll pass his name around, And then we kept in touch. And then it was spring camp. Jesse invites me. He said, coach, are you coming to my spring camp, Penn State? So Catley's older brother, said, oh, let's go. We went to Penn State to go see Jesse. So I go on the sideline. Who I see, I turn around, she looks at me. I'm like, Ashton, coach, what are you doing here? Oh, her little brother, Parker Washington, who's legit, number 3 at Penn State. So Parker is at his official visit at Penn State. So then I'm like, sister, come on. Oh, you didn't tell me you were gonna. Oh, yeah, you didn't tell me you were gonna be here too. So we hit it off. I said, I got a kid who's playing here. Who? Jesse Luqueta. What? So I said, I gotta introduce you to Jesse. I introduced her to Jesse. And I remember Jesse was Micah. They were sitting down and we were, joking around. And then Ashton comes. And then I said, Jesse, that's Ashton. Ashton, that's Jesse. And her brother is planning to come maybe to Penn State. Yeah, really? Who's your brother? Guess what? Guess what, JT? It went crazy. Jesse was the host of Parker. Ashton loves Jesse. Jesse's family, Ashton and Johnny love Jesse. Then, guess what? You remember I told you we had a training at Hillcrest High School? Mm-hmm. And I invited some guys. Malik Mega, who plays for a good friend of mine, Ronaldo Sages of Cégep Vieux-Montréal. Ronaldo now, again, good guy, good man. Had to bring some kids from Montreal. Had to get some kids from Montreal to bring them down. He picks them up, brings them with Malik. Malik comes and trains with our guys. Guess what? Guess who now signed with Penn State? Who's the roommate of Parker? Malik Mega.
Yeah.
So now it's getting crazy. So then when I go to Penn State now, Parker, Malik, everyone's at Jesse's house. I cook for them. Even once when I was at Clearwater with the boys, I took all the boys there. Akeem Isidore, Shakespeare Lewis, all the guys we went to spend time with Jesse because we were going to Indiana as well. But the game got canceled because of COVID, so we stayed with the guys. But now listen to that, JT. Ashton still we're still in good touch. She ended up working for Illinois. Lovie Smith hires her, first female. So she says, Coach, any good athlete you have, let me know because I'm in charge of recruiting for high school. She's helping me. Then she has a brand, is always consistent. So I bought the sweater. I like it because it's very comfortable. And, and then, boom, Coach Lovie Smith gets fired. She goes to Texas Tech. But we keep in touch. She's such a great soul. Great soul. Boom. Guess what? She gets hired by the Bears. She's working for the Bears now. Wow. And Jesse is in his draft. Guess who interviewed Jesse? Ashton. You see, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You couldn't have wrote that, right? Like
life's
all divine timing, right? Like
you can't write those things. Yeah. You can't write those things. And that's the beauty. It's and that's what I love with the game. It brings people together.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's a powerful reminder, again, these simple life skills, right? Like treat everyone. And this was something one of my mentors taught me, treat everyone as if they were the most important person in the world.
Yes.
Right. And if you do that, you don't do it because you want something in return. That's just what you do to be a great human being. And when that happens, it's amazing what shows up in your life. And that's just a byproduct of just doing the right thing.
The right thing. And my dad used to say one thing: every good things you do in the universe echoes. It took me a while to understand it.
Yeah.
Because then after he said it, okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm here because there was a French Canadian who wanted to help me.
Yeah.
He helped me. Monsieur Graton was his name. I never met this man, but I know the name because my dad used to tell me about it. He used to work for my dad, and my dad used to work for him at a bowling alley. We were all in Haiti back then. So my dad was raising money to kind of bring us in. Mr. Graton one day came and said, hey, you don't have to work hard. I'm help you. You just have to pay me later. That's how we came in. So then my dad said, Mr. Graton, help me. Now I get you guys in. Many other people help you. So the kids you're helping now, you know who started that? Monsieur Graton. It echoes.
Yeah.
It echoes. And that's why some people, they laugh at me. They're like, you stupid, you do everything for free for those kids. I don't mind. Because money cannot buy those things. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you a last story, because there's so many stories, Ebenezer Debula. This kid in the community. So I got a phone call from Aldej. Aldej is the guy who helps kids in the community. And said, Coach, This kid is with the Boys and Girls Club. He needs equipment to go out of camp. He doesn't have. And keep in mind, I'm home with my wife, and you know, as a football coach, the weekends when you gotta, you gotta call, and you're like, oh, so shit. Oh, what is it, baby? Wow. Well, I just gotta go. What? Again, for the weekend, we're in the family. I'm like, listen, it won't be long. I know you. It's 30 minutes and 2-3 hours. I said, no, I gotta do this. So I go, find my ways out, convince her. I go, I give the equipment to the kid. I remember the kid was bright, big eyes. Give him this. And then I give it to him, but I forgot about it. And I remember I was with this kid and we were together. And to fast track it, we're together in Florida. And he just received his full scholarship. And he started to tell me a story and start crying, Coach. It's very emotional. Thank you for everything. He said, Coach, I've always wanted to play for you. But a lot of time people told me, no, don't play for him. You know, I'll do it. I'll help you. Don't go with this man. He said, since the time I met you, I've always wanted to play for you. He said, Coach, and he's probably going to hear that story. He said, Coach, I was in the shower. I'm like, how the hell can I go play for this man? He spoke to his parents and they said, okay, he's going to change school. He's going to come. But me, I didn't know that. So he said, Coach, you remember when the boy came to get equipment? So then everything kind of started to, and then, you know, when someone talks to you and you just outburst, hey, are you the kid that came? Yes, Coach, that was me. I said, and he's at Bethune-Cookman now, full scholarship. He's put in work. And that's a kid that could have stayed here. He was from a rough neighborhood, rough in the West and in Ottawa. As you know, in Toronto, we have that reality here, the gun violence. This kid was, and give a break to the parents. The parents, I mean, they were so happy. When the parents that's the other thing. When the parents are so happy, they're so emotional about what you've done for the kids, it's priceless. And it's not only about scholarships, because I've had a lot of my players that it was about different things. But that's why, again, JT, I do it. That's why I do it. Okay. It's as simple as that. Like you said, that's why I do it.
Yeah. So, brother, I want to be respectful of your time and energy. So one last question for you.
Yeah, yes.
You know, my biggest purpose in life is to show people what's possible when they go all in, when they truly bet on themselves, right? And that's empowerment, like we've been talking about. So I'm curious from you. You're someone who pours their energy, their enthusiasm, their belief into other people. So let's say we're having a conversation a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. What would you like to see happen? You know, like personally, professionally, I don't know. I'd love to know what's on your heart, brother.
It's funny. I've always visioned that. I saw what Earl created. When Earl passed away, I went to his funeral. I was speechless, JT. There was over probably 200 and 300 men that I met. They showed up. That man changed my life. That man gave me a kick in the butt when I needed it. That man did this. That man did that. And I said, wow. If anyone wants to change the world, find a way to give back to kids because they are the future. And I understood that. So me, the vision I have, and it's funny, I was telling the guy, they came over for dinner, and I was telling them that. I said, I'm getting old. They laugh because I'm 43 years old. I just turned 43. A lot of people, yeah, come on, you're young. But it's just, you know, there's that thing, you know, you feel that time is moving up. And I said, I don't want to be the guy that's the same guy that does everything. I want to be one day to be able to sit down and watch the show and see all these guys that I've helped out come back and give back. Because that's the key. It sounds cheesy. It sounds so easy to say. A lot of people use it, but it works. That's why in most universities, the powerful universities, financially especially, it's all about alumni. It's all about alumni. You were here one day. There's the next one coming up. You're doing fine now. Come back and help. And time is the most precious thing. So if someone is a professional, becomes a physician, becomes a scientist, becomes a teacher, becomes a mechanic, becomes a plumber, shows up to practice and start to teach the same fundamentals that I used to teach him 20 years ago, to me it's success. Because he's taking the time to come back. And you're going to notice that's the key to every program, are the kids coming back. And that's one thing I take pride of. And I thank God for that. And I thank the boys. They always come back. And when they come back, all I have to do is step back. And I love sometimes they're funny. Coach, just chill. Just sit down. We got it. And I love to watch them doing it. You know? And you were a high school coach, so sometimes we don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
And they made me realize that, coach, you deserve it. Take a break. We got you. We'll do it. Sometimes I'm with them and I'm carrying stuff. They're like, coach, no, come on. They grab it. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's I think that's the key to life. That's my vision, is to be able to witness these guys doing the same that I've done. Maybe not exactly, but at least anything that will gravitate around giving back. It doesn't have to be in football. I want to meet them and say, hey, coach, you know, I'm mentoring a young kid with this. I love when I hear that. Because again, it goes back to the beginning. I was one of those that if I didn't have anyone to give to me, I could tell you, JT, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I would be lost. I would be lost.
You know, it's funny, you know, as you share that, it's just a word that comes up. It's about empowerment. At this stage of your life, it sounds like it's about empowering others, right? Mm-hmm. It's about elevating. Mm-hmm. And I thought back to, you know, mine. I've been on this spiritual journey this last few years, right? Mm-hmm. Really about just understanding how I fit in this, you know, whatever you believe in, God, source, universe, infinite intelligence, there's a greater purpose out there. Mm-hmm. And I thought back to an analogy, right, that I used to hear growing up at church, is that idea of you give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. But if you teach him how to fish, he'll eat every day. And it's just, that's what I finally understood, that because I've heard that so many times. And that's what you're doing. You're helping give the skills to these young men and women to have the skills so that they continually fish for the rest of their life and create the life of their dreams. That's right. Because I worked in the carceral system. I forgot to mention that when I was a social worker. I ran out of there real quick. The sadness, the pain those men were going through, it's not normal. So that's why I said, I used to, as a social worker, you know, we all want to repair, but I believe in prevention. Yeah. People don't like prevention because, again, you can't quantify it. And so this year we saved that 10, 20. You can't quantify it, but repairing doesn't work all the time. It's too late most of the time. And you remember when we spoke, I gave you that quote from Frederick Douglass that really marks me. Yeah. It's easier to build strong children and then to repair broken men. A broken man is a terrible thing. I sat down and I was doing counseling with some of them. It's a terrible thing. It's that idea, and I'll finish it with that idea. Championships are won, right? Not at that game. They're built in those practices in August and September, those off-season lifts in February, right? That's right. And you know what's funny? If you do all we said we spoke about, you will win many championships. Yeah, exactly. So, brother, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you for the man you are, right? The great husband, the great teacher, the coach, the great mentor. More importantly, the amazing human being you are. Thank you very much. The one thing I've really gained from this conversation is just how powerful it can be when we choose to be the change, to really find the greatness in others, help them get clarity on what they want, and help show them how to bring their greatness to the surface. Yes. That's what the game of life is about. Yes. And that is a rich, fulfilling, abundant, prosperous, and wealthy life. That's it. It is. It is. And thank you for giving me
that platform to speak, because what you did is also empowering. You gave me the opportunity to speak. It's a platform. So nothing is more empowering than being able to speak. So I thank you, brother.
It's all good. So here's a reminder to all of you. Coach brought and dropped so many valuable nuggets of wisdom that will not only help you succeed as an athlete or coach, but more importantly, in the game of life. And one thing I often remind you is knowledge is potential power. It's the consistent and focused application of that great knowledge that actually creates great results. So my challenge to you is take one of these valuable nuggets of wisdom and go apply it to your life today so you can start getting to your next level of greatness. And as I remind you every week in the huddle, you are deserving of greatness. You are worthy of greatness. You are greatness. And here's my one ask. If this resonates with you, share this conversation with someone important in your life. And as Coach was just saying, sharing these simple ideas is how we empower each other so we can make this world a brighter and more beautiful place. As always, I love having these conversations in the huddle. Most importantly, have an amazing rest of your day. Have a blessed start to your weekend for those joining us live. And I'll chat with you next time in the huddle. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you.